Hi, I'm Dr. William Starziak. One of the practices that I've found to be extremely valuable throughout my life has been conscious relaxation. And there is some attention placed on this in popular Western culture. Usually it's represented through yoga, right? At the end of yoga, Shavasana, where there may be a few minutes to lay and relax, 5 to 10, some places maybe up to 15. Also, body scanning, where someone lays down and methodically brings attention to different parts of the body with the intention to allow them to relax. There's meditation, which is usually done seated with the back unsupported and is also sometimes recommended as a way to cultivate relaxation. Now, there is benefit in all of these approaches. And I want to synthesize some of the aspects that are found in these approaches, as well as my own insight to provide some guidelines to begin a conscious relaxation practice at home. Now, when I'm talking about conscious relaxation, I'm referring to staying aware, so not intending to fall asleep or go unconscious, but to stay aware and to allow, one, the muscles of the body to relax, but also the mind and the emotions to relax and calm down, so that we're disengaging from intentionally or unintentionally pursuing some line of feeling and thinking. A lot of the time we can be metaphorically chewing on things that happened in the past, or worried about things that are going to happen in the future, or we're trying to figure something out, we're trying to change something, or we're judging something, we're venting about something in the past or the future. And so we're living in this layer of our thinking. And we're not really related to what is at the moment. We've sort of filled it up with these thoughts about past moments, future moments. So with conscious relaxation, we need to allow that process to initially to slow down till it gradually becomes very peaceful and very easy. And the body will follow suit with that because the physicality is on this spectrum with the feelings and the thinking and also the spirituality. So when we allow the thinking and the feelings and the physical aspect to all calm down and come to baseline, then there really is this sense of spiritual lightness, of fluid integration through all aspects of our being. This is sometimes referred to as synchronization, where we're wanting to synchronize the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual so that they're in harmony. And that synchronization will occur passively. That's a really important point, that relaxation occurs passively. There are some things we can do actively to help unhook ourselves from being stuck in certain ways, to let ourselves flow down river to the open ocean of this deep relaxation. So step one, we need to find a comfortable position. For most people, this means laying down. Sometimes we need to put some height under our knees. There's all sorts of cushions that can be purchased. That can help ease any discomfort in the low back. Sometimes we may need to put some height under our head or just something to support our neck. So if you have difficulty, say, just laying down on a carpeted floor, there's discomfort somewhere, well, try placing cushions to make it so that you're in a position of maximal ease and comfort, because that's the starting position. You also want to make sure that the temperature is okay and that you're not in a dangerous location where someone may step on you, or in a place where you're going to get a lot of external stimulation, like talking and such. In the beginning, that can be distracting and frustrating. After you have some practice, it tends to not really matter. So once you find your position, you can allow your eyes to close and you can turn your awareness in. And in the beginning, we want to start by letting the mind relax through focusing on a single thing. And the most accessible and easiest is your breathing. Right? This is universal. Amongst all humans, we're all breathing. So it's a very easy entry point for relaxation. The breath is a natural rhythm within us. So much like how if we sit on a beach in the presence of the ocean and we give it our attention and we're not distracted, we'll begin to feel relaxed. We'll begin to feel expansive. The open horizon tends to help us feel like we're expanded outward, and there's a sense of freedom and ease. So when we turn inward and we give attention to the breathing, we're connecting with a natural process and something that's continually changing and shifting, and that's able to hold our mind's attention because there's enough going on with it that our mind, which is used to activity, can have something to track and something to notice. So we notice when we're breathing in, we notice the sensation of breathing in and the movements that occur through the body as we breathe in. And we notice when we pause between the in-breath and the out-breath, and then we notice as we're breathing out. We follow the sensation of the breath all the way out, and we notice when we pause. Now, there are systems where the breath is controlled and directed in certain ways. But in this practice of conscious relaxation, you can simply let go. There's no need to control the breathing. We're simply watching it as something for the mind to put its attention upon as the mind and body begin to relax. After a while, maybe a few minutes, you may notice that there is a greater sense of peace in the mind. And you can begin to let your awareness expand outward from the breath to begin to feel the entire body. So this is kind of like body scanning. And you could start by becoming aware of individual regions, kind of like you're shining a flashlight on one. You could start by feeling your left foot, feeling your right foot. And just as you feel them, the intention is to allow them to relax. We're not trying to make them relax, because as I said, relaxation is a passive process. But by bringing our awareness to them individually, what we're going to begin to do is become aware of the connectivity through the body. So we started with the breathing, the mind settles down, and then we begin to just leisurely go through the body, feeling different parts of it. And then we try to begin to feel the connectivity. So while we're feeling the palms of our hands, we feel for the sensation of any lines of subtle balances of tension as they go up into the body and where they connect. And then we can try to begin to feel our hands and our feet at the same time. And then hold the legs and the arms and the torso in our awareness. And with every breath, we can begin to see those connections even a little more deeply, because as we breathe, it's changing the forces on all the connective tissue throughout the body, and it causes movements to happen in the entire body, all the way down to the feet, all the way up to the head, all the way out to the arms. So the breath now becomes this integrating force, so we can continue to have our awareness in our breathing, and that is going to integrate in beautifully into our awareness of the body, because every breath puts a wave of motion through the body that as our mind becomes more relaxed, we can begin to notice. And most people are going to have some sort of uncomfortable feeling somewhere in the body, right? And that's probably why they want to practice conscious relaxation. The other reason would be the mind is just hectic or anxious. So the important thing is when we have those uncomfortable feelings is that we have the right view about them. The knee-jerk reaction is to think of them as something bad and that we try to pull away from, or we try to fight, or we try to get rid of. But that's a real misunderstanding of their true nature. These areas of the body that are presenting pain, frequently they are the end of a chain of causation, where they're not actually the cause of the pain. The pain may show up somewhere that's an effect of the cause. So, we punched a wall and our wrist was jammed, so later our shoulder starts hurting. Or we sprained our ankle and so it became unstable, and so we get more tension around our hips and low back, and so they start hurting. So if we think of the pain incorrectly and we think of it as a problem, something that's wrong, then we're going to engage with it from that misunderstanding and it won't be effective. But if we consider that this pain is an expression of the body's wisdom, that the body is trying to do something to address a restriction and it's just becoming fatigued and so it's painful, then we can hold them in our awareness and let them be okay, because they're not harming us. It's actually part of our body's attempt to find balance. When we let them be okay, then they can begin to relax and we can become aware of the balance of tension that they're connected with. And over time in this practice, we can be traced back to the source of the cause of this pain. If it's a foot bone that's really jammed, or if it's a twist in our knee, and we don't need to go looking for it, but if we just stay aware to the sensations that are presenting themselves to us, and we let ourselves let go deeper and deeper into them, like feeling the floor underneath our body, feeling the support of it on every exhale, just really disengaging from activity, mental and physical, not an effort of disengaging, not like each one you're pushing to disengage, but it's just like natural. Then at some point, the really dense patterns can come up to the surface, where we get used to feeling the flow through the body, the flow of the breathing, the flow of interconnectivity. And then at some point, one of the dense patterns will stand out in contrast to it. And so long as we don't set up resistance to it, but we let it be okay, and we can witness its density, its tension, its tightness, and just let it be just that way, and then look for the breath, look for how the breath is moving with it. And even look like if we pay attention to very subtly like how it wants to move, so that the motion, that inherent flow can get into it. And we may do a very subtle engagement, just not necessarily thinking about particular muscles, but the feeling of what's implied by what we're sensing from that part of the body and what that tension implies. So we like let it move in the micro direction that it wants to. And we pay attention to the response. And if we let it go the way it wants to, what we'll begin to notice is greater fluidity in that region, greater connectivity. Sometimes like there's a building force, and then that's builds until there's a release that can occur. Now, we're not driving towards this release because that active intention is going to keep us locked up. We're actually disengaging and we're surrendering to these inherent forces. We're witnessing them, and then there's this just slight level of intention and awareness that as we do this practice, we can begin to appreciate the subtle active role that we can take to disengage some of these dense regions. But that will come about intuitively and naturally, and from a state of surrendering and letting go. When those deeper strain patterns come to the surface, there'll be an intuitive sense of how to engage with them, guided by that same sort of feel of when we want to breathe in and when we want to breathe out. Right? We don't have to think about that. There's a feeling that compels us. Because we breathe in or out, whether or not we're thinking about it. And you really know you've hit that deep neutral, that balance, that homeostatic idling, when the body begins to feel very flowy. It becomes fluid and integrated, and it's like one phenomena that we're experiencing, and we could just lay there where it's just any thoughts of the future or the past, like those have been replaced by just flow and really this sense of bliss, of relaxation, where we've let go, we're letting the inherent forces hold dominion, and as they are reintegrating everything, the body just begins to feel really good. And so this says something about our nature, that the passive return, what does it return to? Like, what is our essential state? And it seems that our essential state is blissful. Really, we sort of get in the way by our intentional activity, trying to seek things out and sort of denying the wholeness that is already our nature. So in this practice, we can kind of put aside all of our other striving and judgment and thoughts about what we need in order to be happy. And we go right to what is, where we're not even thinking about like the moment, right? If you're really in the moment, there's not a thought about the moment. There's just suchness. There's just what is. But of course, in the beginning, it's going to take a little practice before we begin to have the experience of that. It's like my explanation now. I'm describing the top of a mountain, but we're at the foot of the mountain. And so we need to take the steps in order to get to the top. So at the beginning, the keys are being consistent, like doing it regularly. And every time you do it, coming to it like it's fresh. Like it's not the same old thing that you're just going to like, okay, I'm going to lay here for 10 minutes. But that you're actually experiencing the sensations fresh. You're experiencing your position of consciousness with fresh eyes. Right? We can always marvel at the fact that we are aware. And this awareness, if we investigate it, is unsupported. Right? It's as if it comes of itself. This awareness is really a marvel. And we can begin to touch this marvel by considering, who is it that hears? Right now in this moment, if you're watching this video, you're hearing sound. And so what is that that's hearing the sound? Now, pretty much all of us will recourse to an explanation. Oh, it's me, my name, my face, the sound of my voice. But your name's arbitrary, right? You could have gotten a different name. You can change your name. Your voice changes throughout your life. You can lose your voice. Your face changes throughout your life. Your face can become disfigured. So all of these things we sort of unconsciously identify with as the one who hears, well, those are all just impermanent phenomena that can change. And so they can't really be the essence of what we are. So really, this essence of what we are is mysterious. And because it's mysterious, if we approach that mystery, it really brings us into the moment. It really brings us into presence with what is. And that's part of the spiritual integration that I'm talking about, the spiritual synchronization with the physical, mental, emotional. When we disengage the physical, mental, emotional, and we let the inherent motions hold sway, well, then what do they synchronize with? They synchronize with these deep rhythms all the way up to the spiritual. Of course, in the beginning, we've practiced these other patterns of physical, mental, emotional so consistently that those patterns will still hold sway for a while. It's like the practice of meditation or relaxation is kind of like we're pulling weeds and we're putting them by the plant that we want to grow. That's something Shunryu Suzuki said in one of his books. It's a really good analogy. And I'm pretty sure he wasn't the first one to use that analogy. So in our relaxation practice, same sort of thing. If we find ourselves distracted, we find ourselves judging or planning or figuring out or striving, all there is to do is sort of refresh the screen in a sense, like notice, oh, that's what's happening. And as soon as you notice it, it's kind of like you can just step out the back door and go back to your focus of, all right, well, what's my breathing doing? And depending on what phase you are in the practice, are you still letting the mind settle through breathing? Or have you already allowed your awareness to diffuse all the way through the body? and it can even expand out through the body. Like there can be a sense of our being outside of the body. You know, we can hear something really far away, and when we hear that sound, it's as if we can tell it's coming from really far away. So in a sense, it's like our consciousness is large, right? We can see very far away too. So as we deeply relax, that same expansiveness you may feel when you're on a beach and you can see the horizon and the waves and the sunset, you can begin to feel that same expansiveness with your eyes closed and just paying attention to the phenomena associated with your body, your emotions, your mind, and your spirituality. Because we are really, truly connected with all things. So if you got any questions about this practice, let me know. I want to develop this idea further. I understand that it is, that its doorway to entry is subtle. And so questions will really help, and that'll help me make future videos to refine it further. I may even break it down into instructional videos if there's enough interest. And this practice really serves a seated meditation practice well, especially if you have some issues in your body or you have particular trouble bringing yourself to sit in meditation because you feel that your mind is just too busy. If you use this approach initially, you're letting one thing happen first, right? You're letting this relaxation happen, and then it's going to be more comfortable to take an upright meditative posture. And it's going to be easier to focus because you're not kind of going right into sitting while you're holding all these different patterns that are running and then trying to let them go in the seated position. It's much easier to let go of those patterns in the laying down position. And we really only have a problem arise if you're falling asleep regularly. So if you make sure you're getting plenty of rest at nighttime and you're also having plenty of physical activity so you have good flow through your body so you aren't like too lethargic or stagnant in your flow, then this practice works really well. All right, I hope you found this valuable. And like I said, please put any comments or questions in the comment section. And be sure to like this video so it helps other people see it. Subscribe to my channel, and you'll probably like my other videos too. So why not check some of them out?